Hey everyone, the last video here from Tombstone on this hunt for the Tombstone Thunderbird. After 3 days of horseback riding and hiking all around the desert, I have not seen much. Mostly turkey vultures and crows, which is to be expected, because the Tombstone Thunderbird has a pretty simple explanation, and that is that it was kind of a hoax, but not a hoax like we might currently think of a hoax. So there were stories at the time and a few decades later that were told of people shooting at something and even people bringing down a really large bald eagle. And it was probably something like that. So there were probably some cowboys in the saloon bragging about shooting at something big, maybe a large turkey vulture, maybe someone brought down a big bald or golden eagle that was eating their chicken, and someone from the newspaper overheard and thought, it would make a really good news story. It was pretty slow news days back then, and newspapers weren't what we think of them today. They didn't exist to have journalistic integrity, they existed to entertain. So it wasn't a hoax that was meant to harm anybody. It was just a real good story that they thought would entertain people and sell some newspapers. So what once was someone bringing down a big bald eagle going for their chickens became bringing down a huge velociraptor type thing with a 100-foot wingspan. It sold more papers that way, and it was probably never meant to become as sensational as it actually did. Now, if you've listened to my podcast episode, you know that the Thunderbird itself, I think, is one of the more reasonable cryptids. But the Tombstone Thunderbird in particular, I think is probably the product of some overblown cowboy imaginations and a slow news day at the Tombstone Epitaph. There were no gunfights to report that day, so they had to talk about something else. However, this is a really fun place to come and explore. The OK Corral is always a good place to be a tourist. Allen Street has all kinds of shops and restaurants, and it's a great place for horseback riding and hiking and seeing all kinds of cool wildlife. So if you're ever out this way, if you're ever in Arizona, I highly recommend checking out Tombstone because it is a really fun place to visit. I've thoroughly enjoyed my search for the Thunderbird, and I hope you have too. So I'll see you guys next time.